Can air conditioning make you sick, or at least moving in and out of it during the summer? Now, our Personal Journal team, they've tracked down a common cold expert for a reality check, and one of the editors at Personal Journal, Missy Sullivan, joins us right now with some answers. Hi there.
Hi, Wendy.
So I walk around, I see everybody, they're coming in from the outside, you're flushed, and you walk in, and people are like, oh, and then mostly the women, they're grabbing sweaters. Let's start with who you talked to. Who was this expert who sort of gave us the parameters of the cold?
We talked to a professor in Cardiff, Wales, at the University of Cardiff, named Ron Eccles. He's the director of the Common Cold Center there.
So he should know.
He knows.
All right. Now, we are hardwired to keep our bodies at around 98 degrees Fahrenheit. So what happens when we come in off the streets and we walk into the chilling environment of an air conditioning?
Essentially what's happening is the temperature regulator that's in your brain is telling your body to constrict the blood vessels. If you notice when you come inside and your skin gets all mottled, that's because the blood is kind of retreating to the core to keep it warm. It's saying, you got to go in and heat the core. And so what happens is the blood is doing it, it's retreating from the skin and it's retreating from the nose and from the throat.
And that's important because viruses and bacteria live back there, right? So then they can't, what happens? You can't combat it, you don't have white blood cells, what's happening there?
Exactly. When the blood's doing its job, when it's up to the surface, the white blood cells are there fighting. They're fighting the viruses, they're fighting the bacteria. Those things can be latent there, and you have them in your body, but your blood cells are fighting them. When the blood retreats, they're not able to do the same.
So I'd imagine throwing on a sweater to sort of help the shock is not a bad thing to do when you come inside. I understand it's not as difficult for the body to cope when you go from cold to warm. Is that correct?
That's right. The problem's really going from warm to cold when the temperature drops significantly.
And what about just the wet factor? Like if you've come in and you've got like on a wet bathing suit and you walk into your house and you just stay in that wet bathing suit, but the air conditioning's on, probably bad idea.
The wet bathing suit, and also if you tend to perspire and you say your shirt's wet and you head back in, that's another problem. It's like dunking yourself back in that cold swimming pool. So what you want to do is change out as quickly as possible, or if you can, maybe be in the shade outside and sort of dehumidify a little bit. And when you go inside, actually that sweater really will help with the transition.
So what's the bottom line? Is the bottom line, I mean, we all have to go outside and come back in. We can't really do much about that unless we just stay at our desks all day, which maybe management would like. They'll just say, like, now you're not going to get sick, our healthcare costs will go down. But should you be limiting the amount of times you're making this transition, Missy?
If you can limit it, or if you can limit the amount of time that you're staying outside so your body doesn't get used to the heat and then have a harder transition into the cold.
Okay, but wearing that sweater, not having any sort of wet clothing on you, these are a big deal. And again, it is okay to go from the inside to the outside.
Right.
Okay.
And if you haven't got a virus or bacteria that's already latent, you won't get a cold. If you do, that's where the risk is.
Half the time you'll know. If you ride a train, you've probably got that in there. All right, Missy Sullivan, more in the Personal Journal section tomorrow. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Wendy.